Hi, this is Dan Henk, and welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today my guest is Richie Billing. Do I have that correct?
You do indeed. Hi, Dan. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? So
Yeah,
you
that's
got
right.
an indie comic project that you want to talk to us about?
I do indeed. Yeah, just trying to spread the word.
Okay.
It's a hard old game for indie writers, but I think this story has come at quite a nice time. Well, not a nice time. It's a terrible time for a lot of people, but in terms of what it's about, I think it's come at the right time for a lot of people who are feeling a bit disillusioned with life and with politics, feeling a bit hopeless. So I've put it all into a fantasy world as well. So it's a bit different. It's a bit unique. You can escape into something. And I think that's
So
what we
you're
all
saying
need.
it's a full-on immersive world with like politics and everything else incorporated?
Yeah, so basically it's a nice action-packed story. I've stripped away all the fluff that you get with a novel, and it's just the story of a one day where a revolution takes place against a corrupt government, and it's modeled on capitalism and my critique of like the sort of worst side of capitalism and how it exploits people, how it corrupts people, how it turns people against each other, and how it benefits a select group of people. So I uh, I found a lot of enjoyment in writing it because all of these problems are on my mind all the time, and I don't know about you, but you just feel quite helpless when everything's
You know,
going wrong
I
around
think,
you.
I mean, capitalism, if it's just pure capitalism, like without all the like bullshit, that's brought into it, it can be a great thing. But if you have capitalism and you get all these corporations and all this like bullying and all this stuff, then yeah, it fucks the whole thing up and it really makes it hard for like indie creators.
Oh, definitely, but hard for just the everyday working person, isn't it? I mean, I'm from like a working class background, so I've seen the realities like pretty much day in, day out. I know what it's like for a lot of people. And I like what you said, it's like there are good sides to capitalism, and you can see like it gives you the opportunity to grow and to become an entrepreneur and become your own businessman and sort of forge your own way. But when like you say, we've got all these big corporations just running things, it's just horrendously bad.
Oh yeah.
So you've got to find a
I run
balance.
my own business on the side to run a tattoo shop, and they make up like our joke is they make up a license to get a license.
Yeah, yeah. But
So there's a crazy number like we have a sign fee. I'm like, what business don't have a sign? But no, we got to pay a sign fee.
that's crazy. But that's what I mean. It's like th- it's gone too far when you're trying just to get by and like make your own way and like do your own thing, which is amazing and it should be encouraged. And there's always someone just trying to take bits from you or slap you back down and deny you the opportunities that they've got. And that's where it's not fair. And that's all I'm interested in. I just want the world to be fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's you don't have to be into what I'm into. Just don't hold me back. Like, let me do my thing. But all right, man.
Yeah.
So let's get back to your comic book. So, you're saying it's like a whole immersive world, and are you just starting it?
No, I've been like writing stories in this world for about 10 years. I just write short stories and about different characters in different situations, but I like to link things together. So in this novella, I've brought in a couple of characters who have featured in short stories before, and I just expand upon their journey through this world. And it's quite nice. I don't know, what do you think about like stories, like different stories that connect? It's getting more quite common now. You like the Marvel universe, and you've got all these different movies and things interlinking. I think it's quite satisfying. But what do you think?
No, I like my favorites have kind of it's kind of they have a continuity. They all share like kind of a common world,
Yeah,
but they're not like so directly linked that you're like I gotta know the full story of this. So what I describe like that's what I do with my books is like they're all cosmic horror and they're all
yeah,
like kind of linked, but I described it as like one is like a Road Warrior and one is like Mad Max.
nice.
So like you don't have to see one to see the other, but each one's a story. But if you watch one, you kind of know Easter eggs for the other one.
Yeah, that's what I like. It's the Easter egg, so it like rewards your readers, and I think people like it. I mean, one person's commented, like an early reviewer has already pointed out one of the connections, and I thought that was quite nice. So, um, but what I've tried to do with this is because I've gone down the indie route, and I work in marketing as well. So I'm always trying to think of ways to how can you make this book stand out from the millions of other books that get published every year? Because it's happened to me where I've had a novel published in the past through an indie press, and there wasn't much marketing behind it, so it just gets sort of lost in a tornado of other books, and it's impossible to sort of
Well,
pick up on it.
everyone kind of has to do their own marketing because, like,
You do,
unless you're like
yeah.
Stephen King, even if you're on a major label, it doesn't mean that they're gonna help you sell.
I do, yeah. Well, I do all of the marketing myself, and even still, like with a bit of knowledge that I've got, I still find it so difficult. I mean, how do you find it? Do you enjoy marketing side?
Oh no, it sucks. But you kind of you got to do it. So like
Yeah,
I try and have it in a way so that I can like cut and paste a bunch of things. Like so I post in all these like Facebook groups and stuff. So I have a Indiegogo campaign right now to help like raise funds so I can like further market my books and stuff.
nice.
And every time that there's an update, I have to go to all these fucking groups and like I have to go to X, I have to go to TikTok, I have to go to Instagram, I have to go to Facebook. So I make all these posts, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing it justice if I didn't, put it out there as much as I can.
You do. That's exactly what you've got to do, isn't it? Just be relentless and be constantly putting stuff out there. And I don't know. I don't really enjoy that. I focus more on my website and mailing list. Social media, I don't really bother with, but I think it is for books at the moment. It's where the power is, like Bookstagram, Book Talk. Like these are massive like communities of
Yeah, it's
readers.
unfortunate, but it's like it's what you gotta do. It's
You
like
do, yeah,
if you don't catch like the zeitgeist and you don't have like that one, flash. And the thing is, you can put it out everywhere, and then the smallest, most obscure thing ever, the right person sees it and they blow up.
yeah. That's the dream. But
Yeah,
like you say, you've got to
it's
make
really
it
sweet.
happen.
But I just try and hit everything because if I hit everything, there's like a bigger chance of finding people that like your stuff.
Yeah,
And of
great
course, if people like it,
marketing.
they tell their friends tell their friends, and then it takes off from there.
Yeah, definitely. That's great marketing advice. But what I've tried to do with this book, then I've tried to make it unique and to try and help it stand out. I've gone for a unique structure, so it's a short book. It's only 150 pages long, and it's split into 8 parts, and each part has a character. Um, and it's like a collection of short stories. That character, there's one character who sort of features throughout, and the other characters come back into it in their own way. But each story part is very much its own story, but tells like a part of the bigger overall narrative. So it's been quite fun messing around with that structure. But I wanted to do something even more like unusual and um given like the rise in like tools and online help now, like I've used a tool called Udio to make an original soundtrack, and was able to engineer these sort of like epic cinematic songs, like classical music, um, to match the emotional journeys of each
That's pretty
character.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
I've
mean,
got like
fortunately, I've done like a lot of album covers for like indie bands, so I'm just like, hey man, can I use your song? And it's in the band. They're not blowing up anytime soon, but
that would be awesome. Like I just love because that music like motivates me so much and it inspires me, especially when I'm writing. I don't know how you feel like when you listen to music. Does it help you when you write?
no, I need absolute silence so I can
I
like focus
yeah,
on. Because what I
yeah,
do is like everything that I do, I try to like put myself in that world. So
nice.
it's like I'm seeing everything through my eyes. And if I'm getting
Yeah,
distracted by like music or TV or something, it pulls me out of that world, so I feel like I can't give it my all.
nice.
But it also
Yeah,
means that like I'm not one of those like Stephen King types that can sit down and spend like 5 hours just writing. It's like, I'll write and like, sometimes you get like the inspiration and, like 2 hours will go by and you're writing. Sometimes you spend a half hour and then you're like, you hit a wall. And so then I'm like, I'm not gonna force myself. I'll go take a break. And I
yeah,
find that when I do anything that really gets like me breathing heavy, like if I go for a bike ride or if I go for a run or whatever, your endorphins kick in, and like I'll just be thinking about where I'm going to go next, like the
yeah,
the next progression of the story, and then it never fails to come to me when I do something like that, like take myself out of it, go somewhere else, and I don't have anything really to focus on. I'm just other than the road,
yeah.
like and I just think about it. I always come up with good stuff that way. But yeah, I'm just saying, I can't sit down and just like plug it all out for like 5 hours or more.
No, I'm with you. Like you just it sounds like you really know and understand your own writing process and what works for you. And that's one of the best things you can learn as a writer, isn't it? Like how you work best.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I always liked a bit of music in the background, and it's sort of like you say, I like to try to put myself in the scene, and if I can get a bit of cinematic music there, it can help me sometimes. So I wanted
like
to,
helping you up or whatever. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it for me. It's not a thing.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So I made a song for each character then, and that sort of mirrors what they go through in the chapter. And hopefully it might work with a few people who find it a bit more immersive and they can get like find a closer attachment to the character and like feel what's going on the on emotional level a bit
Right.
more. Um, so yeah, it's been quite fun. And I'll just put a QR code in the paperbacks so you can just scan the QR code at the start of each chapter and it takes you to YouTube and you just listen to the song.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So do you have like a progression? Like what do you start with and what do you try to go to?
Say again, sorry.
Like do you have a progression in the novel? Like like the Star Wars is a classic story where it's like this guy
Yeah.
doesn't know anything, he like lives on a little desert planet, and then he goes
Yeah.
out into the bar space and he joins the rebels or whatever. So I'm just wondering, do you have like a progression? Not necessarily
Yeah.
Star Wars, but I'm just saying, do you have a progression?
Yeah. So what when I just set out to write this fantasy world, I kind of the reason why I wanted to do it is to explore like the main theme in fantasy for me anyway. It's good versus evil. What is good and what is evil? And I just love it. That's the reason why I like fantasy so much. I know there's like a lot of different iterations of fantasy now, but at its core, for me, it's about good against evil. And this is my sort of interpretation of it. And the way this sort of fantasy universe works, like I really try and get at the nature of good and evil. And the best explanation I've come up with is that um there's life, there's two forces, there's life and there's nothingness. Because they are basically the opposites. You can't get more opposite than life and nothing. So the nothingness wants to destroy all life. Um, and this sort of battle, this eternal struggle, filters down like the layers of an onion. And one of those layers is us. And then we've got like animals and stuff like that. Because I'm always fascinated by these situations where people do something without thinking, like a good thing. You might like jump in and save someone, or someone will just do something like really bad and just like go shoot a load of people, and they'll have no real concept of why like they've done it. And I've just like really like, why do
The
people do
analysis
these?
comes later, but they just like
Yeah,
spur of the moment. Yeah.
like why did he do these things? Like what is the sort of force driving them in that direction, or like infecting them with the voices and stuff? I mean, it's there's all kinds of explanations, like scientific, obviously, but like I'm just sort of from on this fantasy sort of spectrum, I thought it was quite
You
interesting.
heard the
So,
guy in France, he like I guess there's like a bike tour in front of him and he got like pissed off, so he just drove through them and killed a bunch of people.
oh, it's horrendous.
That was only a few months ago, but yeah, it was
Uh,
like a Tour de France sort of thing, and like they were I guess they're taking up the road, and this guy was like, yeah, I'm not waiting for these guys. And he just plowed into them and killed a
oh
bunch of
my God,
people.
it's mental, isn't it? So it's like what makes people tick and stuff. That's one what I'd try and explore, but in a fantasy world, and that is the sort of overall sort of point of it. It's this struggle between good and evil, and in this world at this point in time, evil is starting to tip the balance, and the forces of good are on the knees, and it sort of comes down to the last few good guys to try and save the day. And there's sort of gods and goddesses involved and all that kind of stuff.
Do you
So,
have any variation there? Like if you like look at something like Lord of the Rings, it's very like good versus evil. But if you look at something like Game of Thrones, it's like they're all kind of like mixed characters, you know?
yeah, the Greys, I love because it's not just it's the reality is it's obviously there's the good and the evil, but most of us are in the middle somewhere. We got put
Yeah.
in both camps, and that's the reality. So that's where I like to explore. Like I'm writing a short story at the moment, just finishing off about from the perspective of like a really horrible, murderous highwayman who's basically spends the best part of his life living as an outlaw and killing people and robbing people. And the story is about his end, and and it's for him. The reason why he's done it is because he wants to be remembered, and he wants people to fear him because that's a way of being significant and having a legacy rather than just being like I don't know, a blacksmith who like
And what
lives.
that's a short story you're working on right
That's
now?
just a short story, yeah, but it's sort of like again, it's exploring this like what is good and what
Is
is
it
evil,
kind of
and
related to the other stuff, like the same continuity, the same timeline and thing?
it's they're not like necessarily part of the same timeline, but they're all within the same world, and they're in different
Oh,
parts of
okay.
the world.
That's what I'm asking,
So
yeah.
yeah, so there'll be like another story, probably right in the future where like this character gets referenced, like one of his stories gets told. Um, and like I've done another short story where I, it's from the perspective of these two idiot cousins who try and rob these goblins, and then um, these
That's a
goblin,
great idea. Were you?
yeah, and then I've done another story, which is a to-do list of the Goblin Chieftain, and you see it's like over the course of a week, and then it's at some point in the week they get robbed, and you see the fallout. So like I like to just draw things together in that way, like with the world, and I just put all this on Patreon now. I've decided I'm just gonna put it all on one platform. People can just pay a couple of pounds a month and they can access all of the stories, they can see the links, they can access all bonus content and things like that. And I think I don't know, that seems to feel like a works a bit better, but I'm finding it a hard sell.
So what do you have this available on Patreon? Like people that often when they do any sort of funding campaign, they do like tiers. You could get like for instance with my Cosmic Horror series, I have like you can get the book, you can like a signed copy of the book, you get a signed copy of the hardcover, you could get an art print, you could get one of the because I do illustrated books, so I'm like you
Nice.
can get illustration like the original artwork for one of those. So I have all this different stuff available. Do you have a variety of things available?
Yeah, it's mostly tied to just to the stories at the moment. So I write a range of different books. Like I write literary fiction as fantasy. So I'll have like the collection of the fantasy stories, I'll have the literary collection, I'll have the complete works. But I mean, what you're offering is like extra special, and that's something I'd love to do. I'm just so artistically like not talented. But I like what I would like to do is hopefully in the future, once you build up enough patrons that you can just put that money back in to like pay an artist to do all this extra stuff that is gonna enhance the experience even more.
Well, I know with a lot of like the Kickstarters and crowdfunding projects like Indiegogo or whatever, they'll have a they offer a whole bunch of stuff. Like for instance, Chris Grant puts out a comic book, and every time, like most indie artists, what they do now is they run a crowdfunding campaign to fund the next issue. So
Yeah.
it's like if you contribute, and they have different tiers, but they have everything from plushies to stickers to pins to like they have a whole diverse array of things. People apparently people love that stuff. They
Yeah.
love all the little like gizmos.
Yeah. I mean, I do as well. I love it. Give me a pin and I'll wear it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that might help. I mean, that like I have some stuff for myself, like everything from like hats to shirts to art to all that sort of stuff. But I've seen other people like I even interviewed a lot of indie comic artists and stuff like that, and they that's what they do
And
to
do they
raise funds.
design it for you? Or do you just design it yourself and they sort of print it or do all the sort of
What
manufacturing?
the novels?
No, for the like the pins and the badges and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, well, I do a lot of art for like everything from like book covers to like magazine interiors to illustrations for like clothing lines and stuff like that. And so I have a bunch of artwork, and so I just do my own artwork, and I put it on stuff
Nice.
and I put it up.
That's awesome. Yeah, really cool.
And fortunately, I have that to sell. But all right, man. So you're running a Patreon right now?
Yeah, just I mean it's just an ongoing thing. I'm just gradually starting to grow. I mean I've been writing for about 10 years and I've been speaking to a lot of different writers who I'm aspiring to be. I'm trying to get to the position that they're in. Like they're traditionally published. They've had 10 books out there and whatnot. And a lot of them are now having to like find part-time work because they're not earning enough,
Oh
or
wow.
they're trying to basically develop more of an indie model because
Mhm.
there's greater profits in it. And when I've sort of been having these conversations, I've just been sort of wondering, like, well, if they're struggling like to make a full-time living, how the hell am I gonna do it? So that's what it sort of led me down the subscription model because number one, I think it's a better experience for the readers because you can offer more for less. Um, and two, like it doesn't take an awful lot of subscribers to actually make a living like full time, so you can like achieve your dream. Like, I mean, I was working out if you get like a 5 or 600 paying subscribers, then that's like full time salary. So that's not too many, you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
thousands.
I
So
mean, I find most like you do a lot of in the US author conventions and book conventions. I've done a couple of comic conventions, but I don't do as well at comic conventions as book conventions. But a lot of the authors, even if they're like, you know, pretty big sellers, they usually have another job.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I work full time, and then basically every hour I get spare, I'll do the writing. So it's basically got two full-time jobs, but I love it. Like I do the 9 to 5 to get to the evening job where that's what I love. It doesn't feel like work.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like years and years ago, actually decades ago. And I remember being a dishwasher and like I worked as a dishwasher. Then I get home and I just draw, because
Yeah.
I was at the time I was like I'm doing comic books for a living. So I just come in and work on storyboards and stuff for hours straight. And that's when I listen to music. I play like indie bands and punk bands and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah, I used to do that job as well. I think it's good. Like you say, it's sort of you learn. It forces you to think about what you want to do, doesn't it? And it
What, being a
drive.
dishwasher?
Yeah, well, doing them sort of like jobs that you don't really like,
I've
that
done
are
a
quite
lot of that, like
mundane,
I've
and
done
then
everything from like telemarketing and working like stocking boxes in a bookstore, you know, like storage space, door to door for Greenpeace. I was a bike messenger for, I did a lot of jobs.
like, yeah, and now you found doing what you love now.
Now I'm doing what I enjoy. Yeah, I'm doing that for a living, so I enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I used to be a lawyer, and then I quit that job after a few years to be a writer, and then after about 6 months, I ran out of money, so I ended up running an Irish pub for a few years. So
Why
that
did
was fun.
you quit being a lawyer? Why did you not like that job?
I just really did not like it. I just thought it was quite like just well, I learned there was no justice in the justice system, so that was annoying.
That
And
is
then
true. Yeah,
I just kind of got
unfortunately.
disillusioned with it, and then I was thinking a lot about like I can't do this for the rest of my life, so what am I gonna do instead? So that's why I kind of started writing. I never wanted to be a writer. I just kind of like
Right. Well,
felt an
I think
urge to
the
try it.
people who like walk into it like, this is how I'm going to make my money, they often don't put out the best product. Like, my favorite bands,
Yeah.
like they just like started as bands, to have fun, but they're working regular jobs, you know.
Yeah. And that's what it was. It was just like something that was really fun to do. And I fell in love with it once I started and then just carried on. So it's like I say, it's you just never know what life has in store for you.
That's
Um,
true. We might all die tomorrow.
yeah,
There's I
just
don't know if you saw the shows. One of my favorite directors is Del Toro. He did like
yeah,
Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy and a bunch of other cool shit. But he has a show on Netflix called Cabinet of Curiosities. They're all like
yeah,
kind of Twilight Zone, Outer Limits style stories. They're like 45 minutes each. They're most of them are really good. There are a couple that are like, they're okay, but most of them are really, few are really, really good.
yeah,
But there's a great quote in there where there's a police officer to sheriff, and he has his friend who's a doctor in the car, and he's driving home, and he asked him what's wrong. He like, what's really going on? And the guy's like, well, I have liver cancer. I have 4 months left. He's like, are you all right with this? He's like, well, what's my choice? And he has the best quote after that, though. He says, we're all on the same train. Some of us just get off in different platforms.
yeah. So true. So true. Yeah. So you gotta make the most of the time on the train.
You know what?
Gotta make the most of your time on the train.
Yeah, I guess you do. But all right, so do you have a website? Do you have how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I do. So if you go to richiebilling.com, that's BILLING. You can find lots of like writing related things on there, like world building advice, how to make fantasy maps and stuff like that. I also have a podcast called the Fantasy Writers Toolshed. Find lots of interviews with interesting people. Interviewed an FBI special agent about body language. That was quite
Oh, that's
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
And yeah, and on Patreon, just search for Richie Billing. You can find all of my stories. You'll be able to find my new novella as well, Together We Rise. I'll be putting that on Patreon cheaper than it will be everywhere else. So go over and
Okay. Do
subscribe.
you have social media sites as well, like you're on Facebook or Instagram?
I'm mostly on Instagram now. I think that's the only one I can really be bothered with. Facebook. I'm on there. I do have
You're
Twitter
doing
or X or
TikTok, you don't
whatever.
do little dances.
No, I have TikTok. You can find me on there, but just don't expect anything of me.
Well,
I'm not
I don't,
into
to be
social
honest,
media.
don't expect anything of anybody on TikTok.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm on there. But I send me a message or whatever. I don't know. I'll follow you back and say hello or whatever.
Yeah, I know Jeff Strand. He's an American author, and he does well. He's a full-time author. But I remember he did a remake of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but
Yeah.
as a book. And he's on TikTok. He's like holding the book. He's getting pelted with tomatoes. Yeah, so like he knows how to do it.
That's good.
But
That's
some people
funny.
make it work.
Yeah, you gotta have fun with it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, what's the best way for people to get hold of you? Should they get your website and email you?
Yeah, websites. I'm quite active with newsletters and stuff. And you can. I'm active on social media. I just don't post very much, but I could check it. I check it out. Like I'll respond to
Do you have a
messages.
blog where you put up regular posts on like your website?
Yeah, Richie. Go to richiebilling.com. Loads of posts on there. A few hundred on. Get about 150,000 visitors a year. That website. So like, I'm always putting new stuff on. Loads of helpful tools for writing, fantasy name generator, all bits and pieces like that. So if you ever need
And what
anything,
are you
let me
selling? Do you
know.
sell on like Amazon? You know,
Yeah, I've got everything on Amazon, unfortunately. And then
unfortunately,
and then draft to digital. Like, I mean, that's one of the best tools for writers. Draft to digital. Like, you just
I just
upload
find
your
Amazon
ebook.
pays you so much more than Draft Digital, though.
Let's
I mean,
say, sorry.
I'm on Draft Digital too, because I mean, how would you get into
Yeah.
like Barnes and Nobles and stuff without that? But it's like I just find Amazon has a better pay rate.
Oh, definitely does. Yeah. I mean, you don't really get much from the draft to digital like sellers, but I suppose it's just good to have the option for people. But yeah, everything as well. The best place if you want to read anything of mine is on Patreon now. Like I've put everything on there. I've spent a lot of time setting it all up and doing the different collections. So yeah, head over there. It's
And
the best place
everything
to
is
be.
under your name. Like you have a specific campaign name.
No, just search for Richie Billing and you'll be able to there's a free you can subscribe for free, get a few short stories for free. And then there's all different tiers as well.
Okay, awesome. Let me ask you two more things before you go.
Yeah, of course,
Um,
Tom, yeah.
one, if you had to compare it to something, what would you compare it to? I'm not saying it's the same thing,
Yeah.
but if you
So
said, hey, if you Conan the Barbarian, or if you like Lord of the Rings, you'd be into my stuff.
yeah. All right then. So the grittiness and the sort of grim reality of Game of Thrones, that is very much my style. In terms of this new book, if you ever seen The Wire,
Yeah,
um,
awesome
this
show.
yeah, my favorite TV show, one of some of the best writing ever. Love it. And I love how they sort of analyze the war on drugs and critique the war on drugs from all these different perspectives and show the impact and the consequences and like the cyclical nature of it. And that's what I've tried to sort of do and play homage to
My
with this
unasked for
novella.
opinion is that drugs should just be legal. I don't even do any,
Yeah,
but I think they should be legal. The government
totally.
definitely can't. They shouldn't be telling you what to do, and they fuck everything up. But go ahead. Sorry.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. And like, I mean, it makes sense. It's to say, like, oh, that's quite dangerous, that drug. So let's just ban it and ignore, pretend it doesn't exist, rather than
Yeah.
say, actually, that's a really dangerous thing. We should actually control it and make sure that nobody really gets hold of it and regulate it. Like that's just a sensible thing to do. So never mind. So I could do that with The Wire, and then I was really inspired by a fantasy writer called Daniel Polanski,
Okay.
who's from Baltimore, and he wrote a series of books called the Lowtown series, and it's just really gritty, sort of working class fantasy, and I loved it. And that's what
Okay.
really sort of inspired me to write this type of story. It's like sort of true to my roots and where I'm from, and tell something like a story that I'm sort of passionate about. Um, and hopefully that comes through.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Have you checked out any of the books of Cain? It's by Carl Edward Wagner.
No, I've never heard them. No.
There, there aren't that many. There are, I think, five or six of them. But it like is Cain like Cain and Abel? So it's the original Cain, and like
Yeah,
how like in the biblical story, like Cain is cursed to wander the earth forever. It's
yeah,
supposed to be that Cain, but now it's like the time to make like Conan the Barbarian. So he's kind of like
nice.
Conan the Barbarian, but obviously a very conflicted figure, and like he's kind of like it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like he's kind of a good guy, but not 100%. So no,
Yeah,
you might like him. They're good.
that sounds awesome. Yeah, like that.
But all right, man. So you got anything else you want to throw out there to the social sphere? Tell people to check out.
If you're a writer, then I do have a community on Discord. There's about 600 people in there now, and if you're looking to connect with people to join like critique groups that meet like every couple of weeks or every month, or if you're looking to get like beta reads done on stories, then it's a great space. There's lots of nice supportive people who are always looking to help and swap stories and do things like that. I mean, some of the critique groups have been meeting for over a year every week. So I found that pretty amazing. So if you're looking for that
How
kind
would
of
you get a hold of these
community,
groups if you wanted to participate?
just join my Discord community. So if you subscribe for my newsletter, you'll get an invite
And then
when
get your website
via
to find
email.
that.
Yep. Just go to the website, subscribe, and then via email you'll get an invite. And then once you join the Discord server, there's all little threads for different things. So if you're looking to join a regular group, you just post and then you get matched up with people in your time zone and your interests and stuff like that, and how often you want to meet.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, man. Well, you got anything else you want to throw out there and say and tell people why they should give you money?
Oh, I feel like I've been begging enough.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for being on this. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That's been a pleasure.